Sally Blakely was diagnosed a year ago. Esophageal cancer, aggressive. Just after 7 p.m, she started looking in a lot of pain, according to him. And within 10 minutes, he'd given her 3 injections.
How many?
3.
You charge him with assisted suicide, they bump it up to manslaughter. They want a big scalp, do they?
Mr. Blakely, we have a lady here who claims you deliberately shut down the investigation into her daughter's death.
Please.
Do you remember Oriana Vasilic? This is her mother, Diane. Do you know who killed her daughter?
Who is this Oriana girl, anyway?
Unsolved case from '94. Working girl. Then got involved with some very powerful people. One day she disappeared.
What are we doing here, Richard?
Arguing for a suspended sentence, I think, aren't we?
Put aside who Blakely is for a moment, and let's re-look at the facts and the circumstances.
Neither of us think a man like Steve Blakely should end up in jail, though, do we?
No, but we can't rort the system just to get a particular outcome.
An immediate custodial sentence in the upper range of 8 to 10 years is the minimum that should be considered.
To hell with fair play, to hell with teamwork or natural justice. I don't want her on any of our cases ever again.
What exactly are you telling me, Mr. Schaefer?
We're just trying to locate Mr. Blakely, Your Honour.
He's bolted.
I'm issuing a bench warrant for the immediate arrest of Stephen Blakely.
He left a message on his computer. It just says, "Please forgive me."
Tracy's got something she wants you to handle, but I told her you'd be taking the rest of the day off.
And doing what exactly?
Well, I don't know. What do normal people do?
Do we know if he owned a weapon?
He probably just scarpered.
Leaving behind his wallet and mobile?
Nothing's happened. We just have a man who didn't turn up for court.
Which prompted him to leave an apology note at home.
He might just have an overdue library book. For Christ's sake.
And that's why you're offering me the afternoon off?
Look, if you're so keen to work, see Tracy. Or you could always swap places with me.
Why? Where are you going?
You don't want to know. Summons from the Attorney General.
To her office?
Yes, I know. Never happens. Usually we just communicate via talkback radio.
Janet, I've told Erin to work with you on the Simpson murder, just until we find out whether you need to do any more on Blakely. Or not.
Thanks.
Guess I should thank you for taking the Blakely case away from me.
That's as close as you get to a supportive response, is it?
Well, it'd be hypocritical of me to be supportive when I think you completely misjudged the sentence recommendations.
If I want your opinion...
No need to ask. I'm quite happy to volunteer. Next time you're in court, maybe you should do as you're told. It's just a thought.
No comment. I've got nothing to say at this stage.
Will you be resigning?
Heaven's sake, no, I won't. Nothing to say. No comment. Thank you.
Go away.
Oh, sure.
Oh, no, not you. You can stay. He's all right.
I've been doing some research on missing persons.
Why? Blakely isn't missing yet.
He's not?
Actually, at the moment, that's right, because it's only been a matter of hours. So if we're living in a world where Blakely's not missing, and he could just be confused or scared, he might have gone for a drive to clear his head.
Is this research?
No, that's supposition. The police receive at least 15 missing person reports a day, and 90% of those people are found within a week. Found alive. Now, they can be divided into 2 categories: people who disappear willingly and people who don't. people who don't disappear willingly
This is not helping.
could have disappeared through misadventure, accident, injury, miscommunication, or incapacity. See? Anything could have happened to him.
Who is this guy Simpson?
Neville Simpson, methamphetamine cook. One of the best, apparently. A real Heisenberg. Victim Gus Saracen, drug dealer, stole from his suppliers, who were all bikies. They didn't like it. Simpson tracked him down, shot him. Gun hasn't been recovered. No DNA at the scene. But Sabina Petrakis saw it all. Gave a statement. ID'd the shooter without a second's hesitation.
Nice work on this brief. Concise, considered, unemotive. I'd say you've got a real aptitude for this sort of thing.
Great.
It is, actually. Not many people can deal with it objectively and ignore the horror. If you can do it well, you're sure of plenty of good work.
I should be grateful there's a ton of child abuse going around because it will be good for my career.
Pragmatism. That's all.
What is the pragmatic approach to this, then? Legal or underage?
I can see your dilemma. These girls could be 12 or they could be 16. Measuring the forearm bones is one way of proving age.
Well, you really need an X-ray for that.
Looking at pubic hair patterns, that can be helpful.
Not in an era where everyone under 40 has a Brazilian.
The pragmatic solution here is to stick a photo in of a kid who looks clearly, unarguably underage.
You're joking.
Well, there's, what, hundreds of thousands of photos here? No one's going to notice if one's been added. I bet even your user won't pick it.
What? Fit him up?
It justifies the means.
Apart from the fact that it's illegal.
Doesn't do any harm, does it? Gets a scumbag off the street and may even save a few kids from being abused. Not nearly as illegal as what your guy Clark's been doing, is it?
It's a good decision to not reinstate the whiteboard in here. So much roomier.
Yes, Richard, don't tell me you have nothing to do.
No, not at all. I was just wondering, with Blakely missing, shouldn't we be asking for an adjournment sine die?
I know we need to make a formal application, Richard. Are you telling me how to do my job?
No, I'm just happy to do it, that's all.
It's a job for a junior solicitor.
It's just that I've been working on Blakely, so I'm, following up. It needs to be followed up.
I'm not looking for an excuse to be in the court vicinity during the working day while there's a Commonwealth matter running.
Me? No. God, no. Court and me are a diabolical combination. A bit like you in court, really.
I beg your pardon?
Nothing.
What did you say?
I don't remember exactly.
Tony Gillies requested I return to my job as managing solicitor because he realised that it requires a very particular set of skills.
Yeah,
It was in no way a reflection of my advocacy.
Oh, of course not. So I'll just go and apply for the adjournment then? Okay then. Great. Thanks.
Blakely's mobile and wallet were there, but his keys in his car weren't. There was a message left on the computer, but apart from that, the rest of the house was pretty tidy. Forensics found nothing unusual.
But he left his wallet.
Well, he would, though, wouldn't he? I mean, if he has done a runner, he couldn't access any of his accounts. It's too easy to trace.
And if he was planning suicide, he wasn't going to need any money.
So which is it?
We don't know. It's so hard to believe either.
What the hell was he doing on bail?
Yes, well...
He pleads guilty to manslaughter and he's still on bail?
Well, it's not uncommon as opposed to being called here.
Not uncommon, it's bloody outrageous.
The circumstances were unusual. Up until the previous morning, no one was really thinking he was going to get a custodial sentence. He's a man of excellent character.
Minister?
Minister?
What sort of morons are you two? We're 8 months away from an election. We stood on a platform of law and order, and now we all look like idiots.
Look, Gail, I'm sorry.
Don't Gail me. If either of you two want the chance to sire children again, you'll tidy this up as quickly as possible. I will not be a laughingstock. There's a cartoon in today's paper showing us as the Keystone Cops while Blakely paddles to Argentina.
Remarkable likeness.
Even my own staff were laughing at it. Have you any idea the level of political damage humour can cause, gentlemen?
Oh, yes, humour, terrible things.
Surely the ramifications.
I'm sorry, did I invite a conversation? Did you get the impression that I was interested in your opinion about this mess? You're here so that I know you've heard with your own ears what I'm about to say. Find him, dead or alive. I want speed, I want professionalism, I want a result. All the loose ends tidied up. Get it off the front page as soon as possible. Are you capable of that?
Tatum.
I'm busy, Richard.
5 minutes. 3, 2, tops.
1. Go.
The other day, I was so surprised to see you. I wanted to say sorry for the sex. Not for the sex, obviously, for saying sex in front of a whole lot of people. It's totally inappropriate. I should have realised this is about the worst apology I've ever made.
You done?
Yes. No, look, can we just,
What?
you know,
No, I don't. You tell me.
be civil? Be friends.
Oh, now you want to be friends?
I know I stuffed things up.
Yes, you did. And you can't ring me and leave 5 messages for me at the office.
I think it was 6, actually. I didn't want to leave messages. I thought you'd be there. It was after 5.
No, I didn't go back yesterday after court. I just got changed and went to the gym. Bit of a swim, bike, treadmill. Not that I need to explain that to you.
Right, but normally, if I called the office...
No.
What if I had a question about a jurisdictional issue and I needed advice from someone who knows the Commonwealth stuff inside out?
Google it.
Right.
Goodbye, Richard.
Sorry to have to do this.
Well, you always have to look at family first. I know the drill.
Did you see your father last night?
No. I offered to go home with him, but he was playing the tough guy. I don't think he wanted me to know how upset he was. I should have gone anyway. If I'd just been there, I don't know.
You weren't exactly in a great place yourself.
Yeah, Jack came by, that helped.
What'd you talk about?
He just wanted to let us know that if Dad did get jail time, that he'd still be looked after, that it'd be minimum security and he'd be segregated from the normal jail community, and I think he'd just been to tell Drew the same thing. He didn't want us stressing. Thank you.
Look, as well as, we think we know Steve, he's your dad. What do you think he was thinking or feeling, where his mind was?
I can't imagine suicide. He'd never ran from anything. I mean, both running and suicide, they're both like, you're not facing. And like, he always faced things. I don't know what to think.
Losing Mum. So losing his heart and soul. You saw him after the funeral as a wreck. And then losing the case. Like losing his job and what people thought of him. He had never had to cope with anything like that before. And one on top of the other. I mean, maybe he did just crack a bit.
You think he might have suicided?
Maybe.
No, never. It's not him. It's just not at all.
You sure about that?
The last few weeks were just shock after shock. And then that crazy lawyer wanted to put him away for a decade. Like, that was just mad.
Oh, I could have killed her for that.
Back to square one.
Poor bloody kids. Just buried their mother, for God's sake.
Scattered, you mean?
Scattered, buried, whatever you call it.
Well, they held this little ceremony up in North Head.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That was the night you had to go charging, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Has anyone checked it out?
Oh, yeah, I'll check. Car's unlocked, keys under the front seat, no obvious blood, no obvious damage to the interior of the car or the boot. Tire area's not going to give us much joy in the way of footprints, but we'll be taking the car in after this.
Search and rescue?
On their way. Steve scattered to sell his ashes here.
I'd say they were together now. Wouldn't you?
Authorities are looking for a body following the discovery of Assistant Commissioner Steve Blakely's car at North Head. Blakely has not been seen since his failure to appear at court for the sentence, following his plea of guilty to the manslaughter of his wife. Bank accounts have not been touched, and his mobile phone was left in his home on the night he disappeared.
Thank God, it has been the shittiest day, non-stop, both of them. I've sung, played music, walked them in the park, I've ignored them, but they've just been out of sorts all day. Tonight, these little darlings are all yours. I'm having a very large, very alcoholic drink.
You want to make me one too?
You know the rules.
Breastfeeding's over.
Hang on.
Over.
It's got to be gradual. You can't just stop.
Yeah, we're both tired and I had a shitty day too. I think I want a job in retail. What?
You'd be terrible at it.
Plenty of people are terrible at retail.
Shut up. You love what you do.
Yeah, but will the kids still love me when they know what I do?
You kidding? You put away bad guys. Why would you worry about that?
Because I want them to grow up learning about tolerance, forgiveness, acceptance. And my whole job's about guilt and blame and punishment. A man killed himself because of me, so what kind of a role model am I?
Let me get you that drink.
The car was found here, and his accounts still haven't been touched since Wednesday. No sighting at any port.
Had he withdrawn any large sums of cash in the week or two before he disappeared?
No. And the only prints found on the steering wheel were Blakely's.
That's pretty conclusive then.
Well, someone else might have driven the car there, wearing gloves maybe.
Is that even worth considering?
We're considering everything at this stage.
No, he's disappeared. His money's untouched. His car's found at a well-known suicide spot, which also happens to be where his recently dead wife's ashes were scattered. There's no other credible scenario except suicide.
You know, maybe Joe or Myra have helped him escape.
You really don't want this to be suicide, do you?
I don't want to be investigating Steve Blakely at all. I want him back at work keeping us all in our places, but that's not going to happen.
I imagine Jack Rizzoli's breathing down your neck.
Jack and everyone else.
They're breathing on us too. I'd be relieved if it were anything other than suicide, but look at it.
No.
Keep me posted.
Always.
Excuse me. I'm Detective Senior Sergeant Andy Campbell. I'm making inquiries about the disappearance of Stephen Blakely.
Yeah, terrible business. Poor Drew and Maya. So much to deal with.
You didn't happen to see him on Wednesday afternoon at all, did you?
I did, actually. He was walking back in from putting his bins out around 6-ish. I was out here telling the boys I had about an hour left before dinner.
The boys were out here on the street?
My son and Tim and Harry from across the street, they were doing tricks on their bikes.
Could I have a word with him?
George! Someone was yelling at his front door a little bit later on too. It was around news time. It sounded pretty irate. This is George. Say hello.
G'day, mate. I'm Andy. Believe you're pretty good on your bike. You and your mates were out here on Wednesday night, yeah?
Actual words might be helpful. Yeah.
Okay. You didn't see anything, did you? Anything unusual? People or cars you didn't recognise? Anything like that? No? Did you take any pictures of your mates? Video? Something for YouTube? Oh. Thanks. You don't mind if I have a play with it?
Just don't delete anything.
It's only in shot for about 2 seconds because the boys were swinging it around. But this car is parked outside Blakely's house, and the iPhone says it's 7:12 p.m. And the neighbour, Phoebe Green, heard a female voice yelling outside the door just as the news started, so about 7 p.m. Presumably that's the woman in the coat.
Who was she?
Dunno, but the car's registered to a Brian Vincent. Do you drive a silver Toyota Avalon? Licence UR 709, Mr. Vincent?
Yeah, that's right.
Were you in Spencer Street, Longueville, last Wednesday night?
Depends what time. I work most nights, so...
Whereabouts?
I'm a nurse at Northern Districts Hospital.
Detective Campbell? What's your relationship with the woman in that photo?
That's my mother.
You're Brian Vincent or Brian Vasilich?
I changed my name after my sister died.
You are Diane Vasilich's son?
Yeah.
Were you and your mother in Spencer Street, Longueville, last Wednesday night?
Should I be ringing a lawyer?
This is Vasilich. I'm Detective Senior Sergeant Andy Campbell. We have a warrant for your arrest, and we have a search warrant. You do not have to say anything, but anything you do say may be used in evidence against you. Do you understand that? When did you have that dry cleaned?
Thursday.
If anyone has seen my father, please get in touch with the police. We're all very worried about him. If there's any help at all, that would be greatly appreciated.
Sorry to interrupt. It's very important. You got to come with me now. And Richard. Richard! Richard!
Let me summarise what Andy's put together so far, okay? We have a lady yelling outside Blakely's door at about 7 p.m. Then it goes quiet. We don't know what time Brian's car gets there, but we have him in the background of an iPhone video at 7:12 p.m. We can't see inside the car, so we can't identify that it is actually Brian. But the lady in the coat is Diane. Right. Brian claims that he and Diane went down to the park and had a little chat while she calmed down. And they both get in the car and he drives back to Northern District Hospital where they have a cup of tea before his shift begins.
Security cameras at the hospital?
Yes, but it'll take a day or two.
Now, we know that he spent the rest of the night there on shift, and she stayed as well.
Odd.
Well, no. Not if you wanted to prove you weren't somewhere else.
And the coat?
Well, it's being examined now, but it's been dry cleaned conveniently.
Okay. What's your hypothesis?
Diane kills Blakely.
How?
We don't know, but it happens. She calls her son, he comes over, they wrap the body in the drop cloth, they haul it outside, put it in the back of Blakely's car. Brian drives Blakely's car up to North Head. She follows in his car. They both get the body out of the car, dump it into the ocean, probably weighed down, then get back into Brian's car and drive back to Northern Districts Hospital where they know they'll be seen on CCTV. Currently, that fits all the known facts. And my question is, how much more do we need before I can get this indictment signed?
Have you got divers looking around North Head?
Yeah, but the conditions are pretty treacherous.
Well, a body would help enormously.
Appreciate that, but otherwise?
Well, obviously the times need to work, like how long it takes to drive out to North Head and then back to the Northern Districts Hospital.
We're working on that.
Well, a murder weapon would be handy too, or at least some evidence of a violent act. Gun, knife, crowbar.
Is she even physically capable of killing a man like Steve Blakely?
See this? You stab me in the eye with this pen and you could kill me, Janet. You don't have to be strong to murder someone. You just gotta want to do it.
Does Diane have any history of violence?
You know, we don't have to be here. It's called professional courtesy, Tony. It'd be refreshing to know that we were running the same way, yeah?
And we appreciate you coming here when you're obviously flat out.
I suppose it's just coincidence the Vasiliches drove to the same spot where Sally's ashes were scattered.
You want to take over the whole case? You may as well. You know why I want this fast track, Tony, huh? I thought you did too.
You want your indictment signed. These questions need to be answered, otherwise this won't get past committal. I am actually on your side.
How could I possibly forget?
I knew Steve wouldn't have topped himself. I knew it might go.
Yeah, and you trusted that.
Oh, but I didn't. You know, that's the thing. I almost let myself get talked out of it.
Oh, it's hard to distinguish gut instinct from what you want to be the truth.
I don't think I wanted the truth to be that, you know, he was murdered in his own home.
We get truth overload in our jobs, don't we? Truth and endless lies. You got to feel sorry for that Vasilich woman.
No, I don't.
Well, no, just that she's still so cut up about her daughter's death from 20 years ago.
That she took away some other kid's father. Maybe her daughter shouldn't have been hanging out with crimson junkies. Or maybe if she'd brought her daughter up properly in the first place, none of this would have happened.
What, blame the mother? That's pretty harsh.
The mother just murdered someone. Don't you think that might indicate that she'd be like a shitty parent?
Well, kids go off the rails for all sorts of reasons.
What is with all the defence barrister bullshit?
Mothers are the ones who cop most of the blame. It's the default position. Fucked up perpetrator, unhappy childhood, blame the mother.
Fathers don't exactly get a good rap. No parents do.
It's late. I've got work to do.
Hey, come on. We are going to be great parents one day.
Isn't that what everybody thinks?
Probably, but some of us have got to be right, statistically.
Diane's interview.
This photo was taken out the front of Steve Blakely's house the night before he went missing. It shows your son's car. This is you, isn't it? Approaching the car, wearing the animal print jacket we took from your house. We have neighbours who report hearing an argument between Mr. Blakely and a woman that same night. Mrs. Vasilich, did you see Stephen Blakely that evening? Did you talk to him? Why'd you go to his house? Mrs. Vasilich, do you intend to answer any questions?
No.
She had legal advice.
In a way. She'd spent years fundraising for the Victims of Crime Association, so she knows what the general advice is when charged with anything.
Shut up.
Yes.
Motive?
Well, we know she resented Blakely for dropping the investigation into her daughter's death and for never telling her who the main suspect was.
Resented.
She was very frustrated about it. That's all on the public record.
Frustration. It's a long way from motivating a murder, don't you think?
Well, there is her inflammatory language.
No body, no confession, no supporting forensics, and a weak motive, and the police seriously think they have a case. Sorry, but until we get more, I have to spend time on a real murder with a real body and a real killer and a real chance. This Simpson murder. Although we can put the shooter in the general vicinity without Zabina Petrakis' eyewitness account, we don't have a case, do we?
No, we don't.
They let you and your womb back into play.
I'm sure the Law Society will accept a written complaint.
From me or Stephen Blakely's kids? Look, won't take us long in there this morning. You could always suggest a nollie. Run off home right now. You never know, you might just catch play school.
Why does anyone ever complain about barristers?
Can't imagine. Miss Petrakis, could you please tell the court where you were on the afternoon of Friday, May 27? Miss Petrakis.
I can't remember.
Well, I have a statement signed by you that says you were at a self-storage facility called your other garage. Does that jog your memory a little? No. Just take your time.
I can't recall exactly.
If I could ask you to look at a photo. Your Honour, if the court pleases, a photo of your other garage for identification only at this stage.
Thank you, Madam Crown. That document will be marked MFI1.
Do you recognise the building in that photo?
No.
I know court can be an intimidating place, so just take as much time as you need.
If the witness has no recall, Your Honour, prosecution doesn't have a case.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. Madam Crown, Mr. Hadley will be correct if your witness continues this unfortunate loss of memory. Perhaps you'd like to address me on Section 38 of the Evidence Act.
Thank you, Your Honour, but instead of declaring the witness hostile, if we could stand the matter down so Miss Petrakis might compose herself.
Your Honour, I hate to see valuable time wasted where the witness has no recollection. My client is a loving family man whose children have missed him terribly. Another moment in remand amongst hardened criminals could have a profound psychological impact on him.
I have another matter that is ready. I'll stand this down, part heard, until the 12th.
Thank you, Your Honour. We know you're frightened. Intimidating a witness is a crime in itself. If anyone's threatened you, we will tell the police and they will be charged.
No one said anything.
They can face up to 7 years jail.
I just don't remember, okay?
Did you see the victim's wife in court? How devastated she was.
I don't know his wife. I don't know what she looks like.
Well, we're also in contact with the parents of the man who was killed. They knew he hadn't led the most innocent life, but he'd always been a good son, and they were so grateful to hear that at least there was going to be some justice. That meant a lot to them.
You have a son, don't you, Sabina? Isn't he about 6 or 7, is that right?
Stefan?
Stefan, that's it. I bet you spend a fair bit of your day trying to teach him what to do and what not to do. Tuck in your shirt, use the soap, flush the toilets. How does he learn about responsibility? It's about watching you, isn't it? He looks at what you do and who you are. He copies what you do. Believe me, as a mother myself, I am only too aware of that. If we want them to live a good life, we have to set the example. They have to see us live by our principles and do what we know is right, don't they? Just a moment. Can I talk to you later?
They found paint particles in the boot of Blakely's car.
It matches the paint in the living room.
All fits with the drop sheet and possibly a dead Blakely wrapped up in the drop sheet having been in the boot. There's more, apparently, but Andy doesn't want to say anything else over the phone. Oh, they also want to know when we're going to sign the indictment against Vasilich and her son.
When we've got a reasonable chance of a conviction, I would have thought.
In their mind, that bar's been jumped.
What do you think?
Andy wants you to meet him outside the Blakely house just before 7 tonight. He'll go over everything.
On site. You want us traipsing around Blakely's house with the cops?
I get dragged out to see the AG. You can get dragged out to assess a theory. It might even give you what you need for a draft indictment, assuming you still want to stay on Blakely.
Yes, I do.
I thought you might say that. Can't exactly give it to Owen. He'll be calling for the death penalty before he's even opened the file. He might have ditched the uniform, but he'll always be one of them before he'll be one of us.
So why'd you give him the job?
This place needed a bit of mongrel.
Once you were taken out of circulation.
And in your absence. Look, if it conflicts with Simpson, tell Tracy to give that to Owen. He'll love locking up bikies. Just don't tell him why.
Your leftovers, complete with a reluctant witness. I'm flattered. Like he's a little too rough for your delicate sensibilities.
That must be it.
High profile, bikie murder. You sure you want to pass it on? I mean, you've had a lot more practice at dealing with the media than I have.
Oh, I know it's in safe hands. And I'm sure you'll be able to withstand the public scrutiny.
I'll do my best.
Oh, that's all we can ask for.
So this Petrakis woman, what's her problem? She's scared of them too.
Why don't you ask her?
I will. Thanks for the tip.
Pleasure. Good luck with your witness.
I don't need luck where the ladies are concerned.
Neither do I. Oh, hey, darling, it's me. Look, I think I've been caught up with things here, and I should be home in about half an hour. Hope the monsters are behaving themselves.
Thanks for coming out.
It's my first view.
It'd be great if you guys could do this more often.
Oh, I don't think we need to see this as precedent setting.
Okay. It's just on 7. Now, this is the time Diane was heard yelling outside the front door.
Blakely! Come on! Open up! I know you're in there!
Blakely opens it. Diane pushes inside and begs him, please, one last time.
Wanting to know who murdered her daughter?
Exactly. He says, leave me alone, you desperate creep, or something like that.
If he has actually let her in at all.
She takes out a gun or a knife, we're not sure. And in the heat of the moment, she's been asking all these years and getting nowhere.
She brought a gun with her.
Or a knife.
I thought it was a pen.
But there was a weapon of some sort, and Blakely falls onto the drop sheet on the living room floor, the one he put down while he was painting.
Which explains why there's no blood on the floor.
Yes. And she hasn't really thought this through, so she needs help. She calls Brian, her son.
Brian, darling, it's Mummy. Come and get me.
The time is?
7:03.
And Brian's phone records show he got a call from Diane at 7:04 that lasted 34 seconds. Plenty enough time to say, get over to Spencer Street, I need a hand. Brian was already on the road, heading down the Pacific Highway. He takes the Longueville Road exit, and then he drives through Lane Cove, and he pulls up here at
7:07.
Brian finds himself looking at a bloodied body and wondering what the hell his mother has done.
And she says she's murdered him.
Brian, who's not as worked up, starts thinking fast. Decides they have to make it look like suicide. So he grabs Blakely's car keys and starts rolling the body up in the drop sheet.
Manoeuvring a dead body on your own is pretty difficult.
Well, he's a nurse. He's used to hauling bodies around. Then they head out the back door. It's a bit of a struggle to get the body out and into the boot. Diane's not much help, but Brian manages, desperate to protect his mother.
The drop sheet leaves paint particles in Blakely's boot, but no blood.
Correct. Brian suggests he'll take Blakely's car and that Diane should follow in Brian's car and they'll get rid of the body somewhere.
And they just happened to decide on North Head.
Well, the papers carried a report from the inquest saying Sally Blakely's ashes were scattered there. And Diane knows that. She has obsessively read everything about Blakely. We found a box of clippings she's kept ever since her daughter's disappearance. She knows if they leave his car up at North Head, it'll look like suicide.
So this is the point where they decide to leave a suicide note?
Spot on. They know they can't handwrite a suicide note.
So they decide to use the computer?
Which isn't password locked.
No. So Brian tells Diane to take his car and meet him around the corner. He's going to type the note, clean the keyboard, then drive Blakely's car out the back. So Diane heads out the front at
7:10.
Diane is called on the boy's iPhone at 7:12. And IT say the suicide note was typed on the computer at 7:16 and 25 seconds.
I wish you'd warned me we were going on the full magical mystery tour.
You might not have said yes.
So technically, this is a kidnapping.
I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Hey, it's me. Yeah, look, I know, No, you eat. I'll grab something when I get home.
Feels very visceral. It really brings it alive.
Shit, the shopping. Look, I'll do that. Sorry, I completely forgot.
It's kind of ironic, really giving it about a body.
I'll text you when I'm on my way.
I'm taking this route to show you there are no tollways, so unless they tripped a speed camera, which they didn't, we've got no way of actually tracking this part of the journey. This is where Blakely's car was found. Flecks of paint from his living room in the boot. They probably carried the body down this way. From this cliff top, straight drop to the ocean. 7:40, last Wednesday night, the tide was going out and it kept going out for another 3.5 hours.
It's pretty chilling.
going? You coming?
You've got the hospital CCTV footage, haven't you?
Yep.
And it shows Brian and Diane walking into the main foyer. What time?
8:21 and 14 seconds.
It's now 8:22.
And yet, for all that, given all the excellent police work, I still detect a hesitation.
And you know why?
I hate conflict.
Call the meeting, Tony. Get it over with.
You're fucking joking.
The odds are well against us.
Bullshit. Really? You still think he suicided? Seriously?
Andy, I really was impressed. On the balance of probabilities, I'd say you could be right.
And unfortunately, balance of probabilities is one thing and beyond reasonable doubt is another. All the defence has to do is create reasonable doubt that also fits the facts, and we're shot.
And what would that be?
Well, Blakely could have taken the drop sheet to the tip any day that week. Then on Wednesday night, he slams the door in Diane's face. Brian comes, takes her to the park. They talk for an hour until she calms down. Meanwhile, Blakely leaves a note on his computer and drives himself to North Head and jumps. Then Brian takes his mum to work for a cup of tea. Same facts, different story, but you have reasonable doubt.
If that's all you got, we're not going to succeed.
You won't be needing these, I guess.
No. Until you have more, then, of course, please, bring it back.
We need a body, Jack. That's what we need.
Shall we?
They took that better than I thought they would.
No, they didn't.
Well, they didn't say much.
Oh, yes, they did.
So that's it?
No. As a common courtesy, we thought we'd let you know exactly what we were planning.
You can do it.
Yes. Yes, we can. And Diane Vasilich will go to court, and we believe we will win. And everyone will know exactly what your father went through. It'll be a vindication for all of us, but especially him.
Thank you.
I have to say, this is the most interesting matter to cross my desk since I've been back at the bar. You really want to go behind the DPP's back? Just bypass them altogether and run your own trial?
Yes. And we can under Section 9 of the Criminal Procedure Act of 1986.
Well, you don't need my advice then, do you? Glad it didn't happen when I was there.
Is it winnable?
Yes. I've read stronger briefs, but it's winnable. The absence of a body is unfortunate, but not fatal, as it were. The trick will be in making any alternate version of events sound faintly preposterous.
Well, I've got no doubt she did it.
Would you be interested in running it for us? Of course, we would brief you through all the correct channels.
Well, as a barrister, I can only refuse a brief if I lack experience in the area in question, which is hardly the case here.
Glad to hear it, David.
Of course, you'll still need an ex officio indictment from the Attorney General to proceed without the approval of the Director of Public Prosecution, so I can't say yes without that.
I know.
We really appreciate you coming in. Your evidence will ensure a conviction. Now, Owen's a little different from Janet, but he's a fine advocate. You're in good hands, I promise.
Will we be long? I've only got an hour on the meter.
That should be plenty. If not, I can nick out and feed your meter.
Oh, Miss Petrakis. Thanks for coming in. Please. Any luck remembering anything? No?
Not a lot. It's so long since I made the statement. I know it's in the statement, but it's like writing a diary about what you did years ago. You can read it, but that doesn't mean you can actually remember it.
No. I totally understand. Although we do tend to recall our more memorable moments. Our first kiss, our wedding day, a man getting his head blown off 10 metres in front of us. Some things just can't be forgotten, can they? Unless, of course, remembering them is no longer in our best interests, which is what happened here, isn't it?
There haven't been any threats.
I believe you. Because a threat only happens if you turn down the first offer, which is usually a financial incentive. Am I right? Actually, I know I'm right, so we can stop the whole talking in riddles thing. Bank records. Easy enough to access in a case like this. 2 weeks ago, you paid off your mortgage with $100,000 in cash. Want to tell me where that came from? They're smart, these guys, aren't they? Much better than threatening to break your legs.
It was a gift.
But they wouldn't be too happy if you took their money and then shat all over them anyway, would they? No wonder you didn't say anything in court.
It was a gift from my uncle.
In cash. Where did he get it from? Look, Zabina, the point is, we can only keep thugs like him off the street if our witnesses help us. Now, we can offer you all sorts of carrots. Morally, physically, witness protection, etc. But we also have a big stick. Convincing me about your cashed-up uncle is one thing. But if the tax office hear about this, they will check every answer you give them and trawl over every receipt for God knows how long. And I do sincerely hope that you've kept your tax returns up to date. So think carefully. Who do you really want to upset? If it's us, I'll have you declared a hostile witness and question all your finances. If it's them, we'll look into immediate relocation for you and your son.
You can't do that.
You'll be safe as houses. Excuse me.
Look, I know this is all very daunting. Can I get you a cup of tea?
Would you do that?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, Zabina. Hopefully hear from you by the end of the day.
Don't like our chances.
I don't like you questioning me and my work in front of a witness.
You totally intimidated her. And you lied to her.
I expedited a process, that's all.
Right.
Erin, I've just secured the assistance of an eyewitness in a murder case. While you've been fluffing around making cups of tea.
I have a very big problem with that man.
Not your type?
No, he's exactly my type. He's like every boyfriend I've ever had. Smart and self-righteous and a bully.
Don't forget handsome.
And he bends the rules.
But he also gets a lot of results, which makes you wonder if we shouldn't follow his lead, doesn't it?
Lena?
Oh, don't worry. As tempting as it is, I can't do it either. But I know what your problem with Owen is.
I do not.
Yes, you do. You totally fancy him.
Rizzoli did what? Jesus, bloody two-faced.
Is this a
Right, 10 minutes.
bad time?
Ah, it's always a bad time.
The job description for the new solicitor advocate position, have you had a chance to have a
No,
look at it?
tomorrow, maybe.
We do need to get it circulated.
Well, send it out. It's bound to be brilliant. Might even apply for it myself. Got to be more fun than doing this.
You left me with no alternative, Tony.
You should be collecting stronger evidence.
They have the evidence.
Oh, according to who? What excitable baby barrister got roped into this grand charade?
David Sinclair.
David?
I'm sure you remember him. Your predecessor.
Oh, look, can we just pause for a second? Can we look at the principle here? I know there's a long-forgotten clause in an act that was written 20 or 30 years ago, but what is at stake here is the independence and integrity of the Office of Public Prosecutions. If we can be undermined every time the police feel hard done by, then it is the end of...
The end of the DPP picking and choosing what suits them.
The end of a system where police work is assessed by an independent body.
So we're the only ones who are able to make mistakes, aren't we? You're always right.
I didn't say that.
Well, you're able to choose the briefs that suit you, but you don't want us to say when you're wrong. We fuck up, you're perfect. The world, according to the lawyers.
Why, you just want your own way, even if it means dismantling the criminal justice system.
I just want to see the killers in jail as quick as possible.
Right, this has been wonderful sport, gentlemen. Now it's my turn. I asked both of you for a quick, fully professional response to Blakely. Cold truth is, only one of you listened. Tony, I'm going to sign this ex officio indictment in 24 hours unless the DPP agree to prosecute Diane Vasilij and her son for murder. It's up to you.
I'd like to see David bloody Sinclair run a trial. Maybe we should let him do it.
You really want to risk that?
Oh, what's the worst that could happen? We run it and win, we're heroes. They run it and lose, they're idiots.
But if we run it and lose,
Ugly.
Well, they run it and God forbid win.
Monumental disaster.
You know, but if we give in just to avoid that happening, where does it end? The police will have us on a leash.
What would you do?
No, this is your call. That's why you get paid the big bucks.
Huh.
Your call.
Oh, God. Maybe we could get Tracy to decide. All right. All right.
Have a good night.
Ha!
Why do I have to work with Owen?
That's your punishment for defecting to the defence team for a while.
He got Sabina Petrakis' bank records and found out she'd taken a bribe to keep quiet.
Speedy work on the subpoena.
Well, I don't think he got a subpoena, not officially. Now he's threatening to bring the whole ATO down on her.
Well, he thinks a tax office is a bigger threat than a bikie gang. Maybe she just needs a friend. We were doing well with the whole softly approach. You know, it usually works in the end.
How often have you tried softly before, honestly?
Many times. Hundreds at least.
That's what you taught me, was it? 12 months ago, you'd have gone on the attack until you got what you wanted.
Not necessarily.
You're right.
You know me too well. Oh, hey, did I tell you? Emma is walking.
Oh, my God. That's fantastic.
I know.
Oh, how exciting.
Next thing I know, they'll be at university.
Very cosy.
Job going well, then?
I told you I'd never forgive you walking out and leaving me in charge, and I haven't. And now this piece of treachery.
David.
Hello.
Hello.
Good to see you out and about the courts again.
You, how have you been? Keeping busy?
Doing fine, thanks.
He's a traitor. I haven't even done anything yet. Can't without an ex officio indictment.
You could have said no.
Why? Jack Rizzoli would have just gone barrister shopping. Then I'd have been out of pocket and you'd be in the same situation anyway. So who was that going to help?
And if I still refuse to run it, what'll you do?
I'll try my very best to win it, Tony. That's what I've been briefed to do. Let's all have lunch together sometime.
We have to go for it.
Tony, we're not ready.
We have to run this trial against Diane Vasilich and bust every brain cell we have to.
There is doubt everywhere. It's against all our principles, yours, mine, the code of ethics.
Well, it's politics over principles for once, I'm afraid. We cannot risk them running it and winning it. It'll kill us. And we cannot let the police take back more prosecutions. We'll lose our autonomy, what we stand for, everything. It's as simple as that. And we have to win it. And the person most likely to win it is...
Woman?
Why?
Is our friend Miss Petrakis going to turn up and give evidence or disappear into suburbia with her ill-gotten gains?
I don't bet, especially not on something like that.
Well, that's a shame, because there she is. Someone must have convinced her it was the right thing to do. Bikies won't be happy. Simpson's their most valuable cook. Days like this, you realise how much fun you can have in prosecution.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, hold on. Go grab the witness, do a little bit of girly stuff with her. You know, make her feel all special. They might even want to plead now they know we've got her.
Hello, Zabina. I'm so glad you came. It's a courageous thing to do. I'm just sick. You'll be fine, I promise. It'll be over before you know it, and you can go home to your boy and forget that any of this ever happened.
A victim, cause of death, severe trauma to the head from a high-powered firearm.
I walked you through every detail.
Except how she killed him. And no forensic evidence to work with, nothing. What am I meant to say?
And how about Blakely's children? How are they going to feel about this?
Better than if Diane walks.
I hear you've applied for silk.
It's no secret.
And winning a sensational case wouldn't hurt.
Maybe I hadn't thought of that. They've got Janet King looking at me.
That's got your attention, hasn't it?
Well, mate, they had us.
Stop beating your mouth, little prick! I'll fucking kill you!
Diane Vasilich. I got a real good story about her.
Well, I'm down near Gerringong, which is not good news.
Why?
Because a bushwalker just found the body